Do you want to know my secret to creating my 30-day content plan in 30 minutes? Well, in this episode, I'm going to show you how. Because listen, we're all creating content, whether you're posting on Instagram or you're posting here on YouTube or a podcast. Creating content is what we do, right? We are creating content to get ourselves in front of more people, and then more people will follow us and buy our products. But if you are not doing it the right way, then you are wasting a lot of time, and you're also missing out on a lot of money. Because if your content isn't strategic, if you're just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, that's a problem, because you're spending all of this time on content you don't know if it's gonna work. So I have a core content code, which is my strategy of how I do this, how I look at where I wanna go, what my goals are, and create a content plan that helps me get there. I do this for myself. I also use this strategy in my marketing agency to help my clients, my influencers, and my creatives grow online. I am glad that you're here. Will you make sure that you subscribe? My name is Michelle Gifford. I am a brand and marketing strategist, and I help you build a brand you feel called to create. And creating content is a great way for you to build your brand online. Before we get started, I need you to click on the link below where you're going to get my content planning sheets. These sheets are free, but they're going to help you and walk you through exactly how to do this, because you're going to need to take notes and you're going to need to brainstorm and you're going to need to write down your ideas. So click that link below and print those out and work along with me. Before we get to setting that timer for 30 minutes where we're creating our content plan, we have to do a little bit of legwork up front. This is in the PDF as well, but that legwork is going to help us really make a strategy around our content. So this is going to happen in 1, 2, 3. All right. Number 1 is know your goal. And under that goal, we are going to have 5 questions. First of all, why are you creating content? Do you understand how that fits into your overall marketing strategy? Number 2, where are you leading people? When you create this podcast or this YouTube video, where are you sending them? Hopefully you are sending them to an offer or an email list or an affiliate link. Something that helps move your business forward. For example, I have my core content code sheets, right? They are right here. And if you get those for free, then you join my email list and I send you valuable content every week. That's what I'm doing. That's one of my goals of this video. Where am I sending people? To there, right? Number 3 is, who are you talking to? Do you understand exactly who your audience is and what they need? What are they going through right now? Because that's going to help you know exactly what kind of content to create. Number 4 is, what problem are you solving with your content? So think about this. I'm creating a YouTube video right now to help you create content faster and more easily. I know that one of your problems is you're spending too much time on content. I know that because I know my ideal audience. And so because I know who they are and I know what their problems are, I can easily create great content for them because I know them. I am one. I have been one. Number 5 is, how can you solve the problem? How do you solve the problem? So let's give an example. Maybe you are a graphic designer and you help people build their websites, okay? So why are you creating content? Is probably to show your expertise in knowing about branding and design. Number 2, where are you leading people? So do you have a form that people can fill out in order to work with you? Do you have a freebie that they can get, or a checklist or a quiz that will get them on their email list? Number 3, who are you talking to? You are probably talking to creatives who are looking to upscale their brand. Number 4, what problem are you solving? They aren't really happy with how their brand looks and they need someone, a professional, to come in and give them advice and actually just create their whole brand. And number 5 is, how do you solve the problem? You are going to give them tips on how to build that brand and lead them to them filling out a form or a quiz so that they can work with you. All right, so you need to fill that out first. And this is setting up our foundation, where we haven't set our 30-minute timer yet, where we're making our content plan for in 30 minutes. Number 2 is, we're going to decide where our core content is. Core content is a piece of valuable and consistent content that you are committing to showing up and deliver on a consistent basis. So for me, it will be a YouTube video, right? I'm going to release 2 YouTube videos a week. That's what I'm doing. I am committing to that. And maybe you do a live on Instagram. That's a great piece of core content. Maybe you do podcasting. Great. But if you don't show up consistently, then people don't consistently show up for you. It's just true. Because if people know that I am releasing a podcast every week on Tuesdays, then they know on Tuesdays that they can look for that. But if I just release that podcast here and there, then how do they know? They don't know, and they don't put me in their schedule, right? They don't look for my podcast on Tuesdays. So having this in your mind is really going to help you because it's the foundation of building your content strategy. Because now you know, okay, I am a podcaster, I'm showing up every week, or I'm a YouTuber, or I'm an Instagram Live, whatever. And then you're going to commit to creating that content. All right, step number 3 is we're going to figure out where we're going to stretch that content. So it's great to create a YouTube video, but if I can't stretch it to Instagram or TikTok or a podcast, then it's not doing me as much good as it could. And I want you to work smarter, not harder, and this is a really easy way to do it. So first of all, what I do is I think of how can I take this and make it into a long-term piece of content. So I am doing lives over on Instagram where I'm interviewing influencers and creatives, and that's great. But if I just leave it there on my Instagram feed, do you know what happens? Is it's gonna get buried because I post at least every day, sometimes twice. So that live is gonna get buried. And Instagram isn't really a searchable platform right now. I mean, they're trying and they're getting better, but it's not geared for search. Do you know what is geared for search? YouTube, blogging, Pinterest, because blogging is Google, right? So how can I get that piece of content, that live that I did on Instagram, and make it last longer? I look for a place that I can put it that will be long-term and searchable. So I do this with my podcast. If I have a podcast interview, yes, I will podcast it and put it out into the podcast world, but then I'll also blog about it because now it's on Google and I can get those images and pins over to Pinterest. So now it's on 2 out of the 3 main search engines. That's huge. So I could also take this YouTube video, right? I could take this YouTube video, take out the sound, put it on a podcast, and then take this YouTube video, put it on my blog, and then it's hitting YouTube, blog, and Pinterest. That's amazing. And that's actually what I'm going to do. So how can you stretch that content into a long form piece of content? Long form is like YouTube or blogging. You know, those are long term, those are searchable. Step number 2 is you're going to do a short term stretch, okay? What are those short term content places that you could stretch your content? So for me, it's Instagram and TikTok. Maybe for you, it is LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook group. You get to decide where it is, but most of these are going to be social media based. So for that short-term stretch, you're going to take your core piece of content and you're going to break it up into pieces. You're going to find any quotes that you could use that you could put on a short-term platform. Like a quote on Instagram is awesome. Then you're going to get some education pieces out. So for me, if I have a 3-step process, like how do I create content in 30 minutes, then that 1, 2, 3, I can break that up and I can put it into a carousel post on Instagram. Carousel posts right now are awesome because they are easily shared, they're easily digestible, and a lot of people are saving them. And so let's put that information on a carousel post. So we have quotes, education, then we have questions. I like to think about questions and how I can get a conversation started about my piece of content. So for example, this video itself, I could go onto Instagram and say, hey, I am creating this video on how to create content faster. What are the problems that you see in creating content? Now, not only does this get my people involved and engaged, it also gives me a lot of content for later. They're going to ask questions that maybe I didn't cover in this video that I could cover in the next video. And when I create content, user-based content that's like from them, from what they're talking to me about, then that builds a lot of trust. They say, oh, Michelle's listening and she's creating content just for me. That's amazing. Okay, so quotes, education, question, and number 4 is stories. So are there like personal stories that you could talk about or testimonials, stories from your clients or audience members that you could talk about that could really add to the picture and the content that you're creating? Okay, that is the foundation. That's the foundation of what we're doing in creating this content in less than 30 minutes. But we have to get that foundation down because that foundation is going to guide us going forward. Because, you know, if you don't have that foundation, you don't know if you really want to show up on Instagram or if you want to do YouTube, right? You have all these different decisions. But if you make those decisions, set up that foundation initially, then it's going to help us going forward, okay? So let's get into creating that content. You can set your timers now. We're gonna figure out how to create our strategic content plan in less than 30 minutes, okay? First step is we are going to determine our objective. What is the objective? What are we trying to accomplish this month? So this month could be more sales. It could be growth. It could be affiliates. It could be more listens. You decide that. What is your goal for this month? Let's say it's more sales. Awesome. We want to sell our course. Okay, we want to sell 20 of our courses. That's your goal. So once you know that, we're going to start thinking of problems that our ideal audience member has around that solution. Okay, so your course, whatever that course is or whatever your product is a solution to a problem that your customer has, right? So what are some things around that solution that we could talk about? So let's say that you have a coaching group. Okay, you are a life coach and you are wanting people to get into your coaching group. Okay, so what are some problems that you solve in your coaching group? Maybe it's like support. Maybe you answer a lot of questions. Maybe you give them a framework for working through their mindset. So if I know that, if I know those are the solutions that I'm promising with my product, then I can think about, okay, how do I start leading people to that solution? I'm going to create content like 3 steps to being happier in your everyday. You probably need a community. You need the step-by-step of knowing how to work through your emotions, right? And so I can lead them to my product. Or maybe you do 5 steps to happier thoughts. Okay, then you could give them the 5 steps. The 5th step is going to be come join my group where I give you support, coaching, and counseling to help you grow and improve your mindset. So that's what we're talking about. We're trying to get the problems that they have and the solutions that we have for their problems. Step number 2 is we are going to make a list. Okay, we're going to make a list of topics that we can talk about. Now this is just going to be a brainstorm. Okay, we're going to just sit down and we're going to brainstorm a list of topics that we can talk about that will solve that problem and lead them to our objective, which is buy our course or get on my email list or whatever. Okay, so you're going to just brainstorm those topics. Third, we are going to choose the ones that we're going to do for our core content. Okay, so which ones are going to be our core content? So if your core content is going to be a podcast, okay, so which of those topics are we going to podcast about? And once we have a list, you could, if you're only doing 4 podcasts a month, then you just choose 4 topics and then you outline those topics. You're going to say how to have happier thoughts. Cool, write down your 5 tips to having happier thoughts. Now you have a podcast outline that you can take and record a podcast with. So once we know that, then we are going to decide how are we going to stretch this content? What quotes are we going to use? What questions are we going to talk about? What education are we going to add? And what stories will we use to really make this better? You're going to make that list. And now suddenly you have a strategic content plan. Just like that. I know, it was easier than you thought. Now, why is that so strategic? Because you started with your objective, right? You know what you want people to do, and then your core content supports that. And then because you're using that core content to stretch it across other platforms, all of that other stretch is supporting your objective as well. That's how you create your strategic 30-day content plan in less than 30 minutes. Like, this really doesn't have to take you that long. Once you do that, then we are going to cut it up, break it up, and put it across all the other platforms, which we'll do another video on. But this is enough to get you started, because you need to know that you can do this and that it doesn't have to take forever, but it does need to happen. Too many times we're just creating on the fly and we don't have a clear objective of what our piece of content is leading people to. But once we pause, take a breath, know our goals, and be just a little bit strategic, then our content can support our objectives and our overall goal to grow our business. Make sure that you don't miss out. I want you to get those content planning sheets because they're really going to help you. You can also text content to 951-309-7885 and I will get you that link. Also, you'll be on my text list, which I text you some good stuff throughout the month. So you're going to want to do that. All right. I'm so glad you've been here. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe below and we'll see you next time.